Marianne Jean-Baptiste, you star in Hard Truths by director Mike Leigh. Now, of course, you also co-starred in his 1996 film Secrets and Lies. So how did this reunion come about?
It came about. I think we've kept in touch over the years. I think Mike has always sort of been kind of putting feelers out to see if I'd be interested in collaborating again. And around 2018, 19, it was sort of made official. Like, I want to do a film. I want you to be in it. I don't know what it's about, don't know what you'll be doing in it, but we'll have fun. What do you say? And I said, yes, let's do it. And then the pandemic happened. And so it was sort of put on hold. And then it came back up again last year. So that's it, really. It just sort of happened.
And the way Mike Leigh works is so unique among filmmakers. What is it like putting your faith in that process of sort of building a story and a character from the ground up?
It's terrifying, exhilarating, exciting, creative, beyond creative, actually. It's the most collaborative experience you could ever hope to have as an actor, as a production designer, as a costume designer, as a makeup artist and hair person. Um, there's nothing like it, really. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm not for everybody, I'm sure. Some people like to know what they're doing, what's happening. Um, but there's something so freeing about not knowing everything and just allowing yourself to discover as you're going along.
Now your character in the film, Pansy, is a very unhappy woman who lashes out at everyone, including her loved ones. How did this particular character sort of rise to the surface of what this story would be about?
Well, basically, how we work, and I don't know how much, sorry, something's come up on my screen. I don't know how much you want me to go into the process of creating the character, but I'll try and make it a short one. But basically, you have a list of people you know from real life. That list gets shortened until you end up with about five, 3 to 5 people on that list. Each of the people you describe them to Mike in as much detail, or as in some cases, it's somebody that walks their dog along your street every day that you don't even know, but there's just something about them that makes you think, okay, that might be an interesting character. But then once you've got those people, those real people, you try and merge them together using physical exercises and talking them into existence. You then, once you've merged them, you then have a single character that you go all the way back to their first memory with. And this is all imagination that we're dealing with now. And you go back to them and you talk about the first memory and you just work your way up. What sort of child were they? Were they good in school? What was the school like? Did they like any of the teachers? What were their names? What were the names of their friends? If they had and you just keep going. And then, one day another actor might be in the rehearsal space with you and Mike will say, oh, you're going to be playing sisters. So you start again from, okay, what was it like when the baby first came home from the hospital? And then you start building a parallel history of where the sisters lived, where they went to school, how they got there, how they got home. And so that's how it goes. But within that, um, any decision that you can make about your own life, your character can make that decision. Any decision that is outside of your hands, that's not in your hands, Mike makes those decisions. So all of the failed exams, Mike's in charge of that. The job interviews that weren't successful, he's in charge of that. The guy that she fancies that doesn't fancy her back, Mike's in charge of that. So you get the idea. So that's what really forms the character of Pansy, the sum of all her successes and failures, heartbreaks and rejections and disappointments.
And was it difficult to inhabit this like intense mindset that Pansy has for extended periods of time? This, this harsh kind of energy that she brings.
Yeah, I mean, it was very tiring. It was tiring. And I mean, it was hard but delightful at the same time, because you're really getting your teeth into something, and as most actors, that's all we want. We want something that we can really kind of disappear into and relish. And I did relish playing her. It was hard to turn the voice off, though, sometimes in the head, her thoughts bubbling away, criticizing people, complaining about things. I very often had to go, oh, shut up, Pansy, please. This is not the way I think or the way I see the world. But it's only for a period of time. So you just crack on with it.
And is it freeing at all to be able to inhabit someone who doesn't have a filter, is just kind of expressing herself in the most raw, visceral way?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see why you asked the question. If it were a scripted piece, I could totally see how somebody could feel it could be quite cathartic and freeing to be like that. But because we're doing it in the moment, as it were, it's not freeing, it's just the way she is. Do you know what I mean? It's she doesn't see anything wrong with what she's saying or the way that she's behaving. She's just telling it like it is, really. People shouldn't be canoodling on a sofa in a store that other people might want to buy that sofa, and you've got all their germs on it. Or babies shouldn't have pockets on their clothes. It's a waste of fabric.
And how did you access all of that in the moment, to try and play Pansy?
Well, basically, I went out. Mike would say, over the weekend, just go into character softly. Don't, go full in. Go into character softly and just monitor her observations and how she sees the world and So I go off and I start monitoring and just observing things that I would normally observe and see a cute baby, go, oh, but then I'd be like, oh, but then Pansy would pipe up and I'd go, okay, I get it. This is a way into really unpacking this character, is the way that she sees the world. It's not her friend, it's her enemy. Doesn't like being out, doesn't like being, in the world. It's a very scary place for her. So she
Mhm.
attacks. Oh, sorry. So she attacks before she's attacked.
And what's the process of making Hard Truths very similar to how working with Mike Leigh was on Secrets and Lies, or has his process sort of evolved over time?
I'm sure it's evolved in some way, but for him, on his side of things, but for us, it's exactly the same. Yeah. I mean, probably the only thing that would have changed is um, the maximum amount of people to merge from the real people list was about 3, and now it's like up to about 5.
And what did you think of this story and this character when you first saw the finished film altogether?
I was stunned. I was like, no, she's too much. I don't know if people are gonna be able to take it or get it. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's my kind of film. Like, it's the type of film I like. But I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah,
And
that's
uh,
how I
and
feel. But that by the third time I'd seen it, I was like, okay, it was very emotional for me. And I was like, no, this is really beautiful. And it's connecting with people. People are really connecting with it.
Yeah, and what kind of responses have you gotten from people about this character?
People have got so much compassion for her, which is surprising. They really feel her pain, um, and they are patient with her. Um, they also recognize mother-in-laws, mothers, aunts, sisters, friends. Some men have confessed to being a bit of a pansy. to which I always to which I always say, well, you're too self-aware, so you can't be. But you know, because pansy's not at all. But yeah, people see themselves. You know, they say I'm a bit like that, so I can be like that, or I think that way sometimes. Obviously, I wouldn't say it, but so I get those types of comments.
Yeah, it does feel like sort of like a study in empathy, to, have this character who you don't really explain what she's going through, but, to be able to see yourself in this character and to be able to love this character
Mm.
is seems like the ultimate in empathy.
Yeah, I think it's like we encounter people like that all the time. You know, you somebody flips you the bird or what have you when you're driving, and you're just like, seriously? I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's like, I'm sorry, you know, and they continue to kind of rage, and you go, at some point, one hopes that you would say, look, this isn't about me. Because for that person to go from 0 to 10 like that over something so minor, they've got to be dealing with something themselves. So I think it's one of those things where it kind of gives us pause. And I think if seeing a character like this gives people pause when dealing with a situation like that, then I think it's a good thing. It's just to remind us, like, all right, I'll just give this one a wide berth, or I'll ignore, or I won't engage and argue back, or what have you.
And this felt to be a little bit like sort of like the flip side to Mike Leigh's film Happy Go Lucky, which had a character that was this complete optimist.
Mm.
And Pansy feels kind of like the opposite of that. Had you seen that film, and did this film at any point strike you as like an interesting companion to that one?
No, I have seen it, but it didn't strike me in that way at all because when yeah, no. And people have brought the subject up, and Mike's like, no, absolutely not. It's just, this is how it's worked. People have also said that they want to see a fight between Pansy and Johnny from Naked because they seem to be similar or whatever. But yeah, there was no. I can see why the comments made, obviously, but it's not a companion film.
Now we at Gold Derby, my outlet, we love to talk awards, and Hard Truths, of course, is getting awards buzz. You've been recognized by several groups already for your performance.
Yeah,
Congratulations on
thank
that.
you.
What does that mean to you to be in kind of in the middle of that conversation, especially when you make a film, you never know how it's going to be received, and
Yeah,
to have it be received in this kind of positive way.
it's great. It's absolutely wonderful. Um, Again, you do a film with Mike, you don't even know what it's about, much less if it's going to be any good. So when you do, and it's getting this kind of attention and this kind of buzz, it's just a wonderful thing. And it's a great thing for independent films, small films, films that haven't been interfered with, that have just been a creative expression by the people involved in making it. It's a very proud moment for us that it's doing so well.
And do you have a memory of like the first award or recognition you have received in your career, or is there one that comes to mind first that's especially special to you?
Oh gosh, probably like the first time years ago when I was nominated for an Academy Award. I think that comes to mind because, you know, I in London and in England at that time, it wasn't a big deal. It's something you had to stay up at night to watch because it's this thing that happened in America, far away, in this place called Hollywood, where all these very famous people are, you know, and it was such a surreal experience. You know, it was just like, huh? How did that happen? You know? Yeah, so that comes to mind. Yeah.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work in Hard Truths, and potentially your next Oscar nomination. You know, knock on wood. And thank you so much for talking to me about the film. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you.